Oh my god. Welcome to the Get Offset podcast. My name is Emily.
And my name is Andrew.
And we promised this wasn't recorded in December, despite the fact that for you listeners, Andrew's wearing a Christmas sweater.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That I brought to him last weekend.
Yep. It's super comfy. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, those are actually were really soft and comfortable. I wore mine a lot.
I couldn't bring myself. It says the care instructions like, yeah, go ahead and tumble dry low because it's not like regular sweater material. I'm like, well, no, that feels wrong. So I ended up line drying it anyways.
Smart. Yeah, probably for the best. Yeah, that was fun. Andrew and I actually got together in person for the first time. Like, we've seen each other in person since the pandemic.
Indeed. Huzzah.
But like outside briefly to like drop off, pick up stuff.
Yep. Like in passing.
Not like for hangs. So it was nice.
Agreed. We'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, see? We're friends in real life.
Maybe by next time I'll have this place cleaned up well enough to where we can jam.
Yeah. We had our professional organizer come by yesterday and cleaned out the garage a little bit, this main walkway, and our big main closet area downstairs. And man, they had their work cut out for them, but yeah.
Fair enough.
Love our professional organizer, man. Highly recommend it.
I might cave and go that route because we'll see.
Yeah, I really recommend it. Yeah, there are some times in your life where you're like, I should bring in someone who knows what they're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of when you're working on amplifiers, and sometimes when you're organizing your house.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god.
Well, hey, what's new with you?
Nothing I can talk about until tomorrow, or I guess until Tuesday later in the day. So. Yes. I guess you've probably seen the emails, but it's exciting and cool. And check out the demo on the YouTube, people.
What? I haven't seen a thing. What? I don't know what you're talking about. Nope. I'm completely oblivious.
Yes. Too bad.
I am faultless.
Yes. Well, it's an email from Valentine's Day. It was the last time we had it back and forth going, so.
Oh.
Yeesh.
Mm-hmm. I'll just continue to pretend like I'm perfect and I know nothing.
Yeah, since we released this episode like closer to midnight on the Tuesday, and the actual release isn't going to be until later in the day, I'm not gonna spill the beans.
That is mighty considerate of you.
Also, I always work under just the just in case. Like, what if they push it? Then I have to push the whole episode. Yep. I'm not going to do that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's been fun. It's been real fun. Cool. How about you, dude? Anything new? Other than that sweater?
The sweater's pretty great. After doing some reflecting, I'm going to return the 25-foot cables.
Is it because of what Steve Rao said in the Discord?
It's part of it. It's also just the realization. It was like, it's what they had there. I'm like, oh, like I can deal with it. In the back of my mind, like for some reason, I was like, I see it. I would like to have it. It was kind of that, like, it's in front of me proximity bias. And then I realized, like, after we record the episode, I'm like, they don't just sell 25-foot cables. It's just what they happen to have on the shelf. And I could order it online from somewhere else.
Yeah.
In a size that makes more sense for my rig.
And you could get orange cables in any length from like Sari Cables.
That's also true.
Yeah.
So
Somebody
I'm going to
like that.
return it. I've got the receipt, and I work near Guitar Center, so I'll just go back on a like lunch break or something.
Yeah.
Like, sorry guys.
It's too much cable.
Oh, I'm trying to remember.
I'm
It's
worried
been
about
so
the
long.
high. I'm worried about the
Is
high
it a?
frequency loss. Oh, I'm not gonna do that.
I think what is it? It's the return receipt, like punching into green screen is like an 11 transaction. It's like
I
the
don't know what
number
that
you punch in.
means.
There's like what kind of transaction you're putting in. It's like there's a number code attached to it. And I want to say it
Okay.
was 11 to initiate a return, but I'm blanking out now.
Okay. What?
I am so sorry. I thought I turned that off. Yeah, so that's what's new with me. I'm trying to think. Outside of that, it's oh, this is also what's new with me. So we've got you gave me this book.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Cool.
And I was reading through it, and I
We
realized that
saw it. We all saw it.
there's a handful of songs that I
What Andrew just held up for the podcast listeners was a book about Nirvana I've probably had since high school that I gave to Andrew.
there's songs in here that I didn't realize Nirvana wrote.
Huh?
And I guess I thought like I've listened through most of the songs. I'm gonna have to like go through and like figure out what I'm missing.
Was I a bigger Nirvana fan than Andrew was?
It's possible.
Yeah, I suppose. Like I had like bootleg stuff that I bought at county fairs and state fairs and shit like that.
No, there's some super cool stuff in there, so I might have to go on a Nirvana listening binge.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since I'm 27, you know. Cautionary tale.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, well there's some new stuff happening in the gear world. Some new drama.
Drama llama alert.
Old for friends for sale. Kind of shit. The guy who ran Gear Supply Company and straight to the ground and took a lot of money with it is back. And
somehow Palpatine returned.
So let's talk about Gear Supply Company. Gear Supply Company started in Florida and moved to Omaha, and they found a lot of success having a business model that was essentially rebranded guitar strings that were like basically Everly Rockers. So they basically rebranded Everly Rockers, put their logo on mass-produced Delrin guitar picks, other things like that. And they had kind of a marketing strategy and branding that was like cut out the middleman, which is funny because they were kind of literally a middleman.
Right.
And they had a subscription service, and they tried to sell the subscription on the idea that you should be changing your guitar strings every month no matter what, and that their prices were so good that you could afford to do so. And
yeah,
by insinuating they were cutting out the middleman, they kind of made people feel like that they were making their guitar strings. I don't know. It kind of felt really disingenuous. And they started releasing more products, cables, straps. I actually still have some of the straps. They were really, really cool. I still have a bunch of the picks. They were nice. They like nothing wrong with them. But things really went to a head when they launched a Kickstarter for some guitar pedals. So at the earliest level, you could get guitar pedals for $125. They had a compressor, a tremolo, a harmonic tremolo, a light drive, and a medium drive, and or medium drive and a light drive, depending on how you look at it.
But where's the dark drive? Is it a large drive?
Oh my god!
Is it a grande drive?
Grande.
It's one of the questions of the universe we'll never know. So what was the next level?
We're making coffee roasting jokes now. And the Kickstarter deliverables kept getting pushed back. And Gear Supply had gotten really big in the praise and worship guitar circle. I am not positive how, because I wasn't part of that circle. So maybe Andrew can elucidate us a little bit.
I mean, targeted marketing
Yeah.
was a big part of it. The was price range made it very accessible for folks who care a lot about spending their money in a like being good stewards of their money. And so like, oh, like this is a way that makes financial sense for me to be able to bring my best every Sunday. Fresh
Mm-hmm.
strings, reasonable price. I mean, and then just some targeted artists like representatives in the worship channels online,
Mm-hmm.
made for easy converts. So
Right. And Josh himself, quite religious.
right, member of the
See.
CCM community. I
Mm-hmm.
think who he was dating,
Married to.
married to.
Maybe
He
he was married. Right, yeah.
at one point in time there was a romantic entanglement, off the top of my head, with some famous CCM leader's daughter. I don't remember the full details there, but like
Huh.
there's like a level of clout involved.
Huh. I
Of
don't know.
this dude's a big shot.
Oh, wow. And his dad's some famous like political cartoonist in
Yep.
Omaha. Like, so he's not like just a nobody.
Sure.
Um and so the Kickstarter, things kept getting pushed back. He would use language like have some grace. He kind of really pushed the buck on the builder. Who, like, I think this was like his first big project. The builder, who, as far as I know, never really got compensated, is my understanding, allegedly. For
Allegedly.
allegedly, a lot of allegeds in this story, but everything I've said so far is, factual as far as the timeline. So the
Sure.
Kickstarter, yeah. And then it kind of comes to a head on Black Friday. By now, nobody's gotten a pedal, as far as I can know. Some people have played them, including
Yep.
the original third host of this podcast, who was in Omaha, had played
Yep.
some of them. So he can attest that they exist. And this other third host was active in guitar influencer spaces. So I assume that's kind of why he was brought in to attest that they exist. I think it
Yep.
was probably pretty smart marketing on Josh's part to get somebody who he knows is going to, sing his praises, to use the language of the church a little bit. But still nobody's really gotten their pedals. And then on Black Friday, Josh lists them all for sale on the website for $99. They were $125 on the Kickstarter. Nobody's gotten
Wild.
them yet. So not only at this point have you been waiting like 9 months past like when you were supposed to have your pedals delivered, now people, from what you can see, can just buy them for $25 less. People, myself included, got mad. I think I
Yep.
got a $50 gift card and I spent it immediately because I'm like, this is a business that cannot possibly be existing much longer.
Sure.
So I'm like, I'm not hanging on to this. I'm just going to. I don't even think I need this shit. I'm like going to just buy like what $50 worth of picks,
Yep.
strings, guitar cables, and because like this, it's not things that aren't going to go bad.
Yep.
Like,
Cash in and
oh,
run.
so I did. And I don't know if a lot of other people did as well, but that's when you start hearing more about people not getting the general things that they order, not just the Kickstarter stuff, because
Yep.
eventually, and actually pretty shortly thereafter, I did get a pedal. I got one of the two pedals I ordered from the Kickstarter, but
Not
not the
both.
others, not both. And not the other things I was supposed to get in the Kickstarter, like the
Yep.
swag. And
Swag.
which actually maybe I did get a hat. I don't remember. I think I didn't want a hat.
Oh yeah, that's my other what's new that I didn't want is you gave me the Gibson.
Oh, I did. I definitely did.
I was gonna wear. I forgot I was gonna wear that, but
It's,
I don't
it's
think
for
I
the
can bring
best.
myself to do it.
It's for the best. It's for the best. A Fender shirt with a Gibson hat. It's for the best. Um,
Ooh, see, there we go. It's conflict.
so I never got my other pedal. I got the first one. It was fun. It functioned.
It turned on.
It worked. It was
It
a
light
harmonic.
drived.
Boy howdy, it sure was a harmonic tremolo.
Mm.
And I think I ended up selling it for like $75 like a year later.
Yep.
But a lot of people never got anything. And that's when people started complaining that they weren't getting like the normal stuff that they were ordering,
Yep.
cables, strings. People were saying I had money taken out for my string subscription and I didn't get my string subscription. Or I
Right.
can't cancel my string subscription because I'm like one of the original subscribers and I'm not in the normal portal. Like I have to email and you're not responding to my emails. It
Yep.
started to look like nobody was working there anymore except for Josh. Like
Right.
before, it had been a host of other people. And
Yep.
if you looked at the LinkedIn, it didn't look like anybody else worked there anymore. And this is just my recollection of how things went down as someone who was a customer and following it really closely because I had money in it and was waiting
Oh yeah, and
for.
people in the workshop forum started to catch up. They're like, people are like posting the cautionary, stop ordering from them. Start like call your credit card companies and challenge the charges that you're getting. Report to the BBB.
Like
Uh,
disavow any charges from this company if you're being auto charged every month and can't cancel. Like that's the only way to
yep.
stop it,
Yep.
kind of thing. Um, yeah. See if you can do a chargeback. You're probably not going to get the money back from the Kickstarter because it's been more than 6 months.
Right. And it takes a lot to get the worship community, like, honest to goodness, it takes a lot to get the worship community to get upset enough to, like, to bypass the, well, we'll just give some grace here card.
Yeah, because
That extends pretty
previously,
far.
I know from what I'd heard, if someone had been like, this seems like like either a weird business model or someone had complained about quality, or someone had before talked about how it's kind of weird that he's just kind of throwing the builder under the bus for the deliverables being laid on the pedals.
Right.
People would eviscerate that person in the comments, you know?
It's just it's not me, it's him.
Yeah. Or like, hey, you got to give this person
She's a
some
witch.
grace. Like, give it some grace. Give it some grace. Like, how
Yeah,
many
yeah.
times did you see that in relation to Gear Supply Company? And it's one of the reasons that like part of the gear community seems just so susceptible to fraudsters.
Sure.
And it's probably why Josh continues to work with people who are in some capacity in that community.
Yeah. So he's worked with at least one other company in the last couple of years that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm. A lot
He
of
started to do,
branding.
yeah, he
Go
was
ahead.
doing branding work for CNZ Audio.
Mm-hmm. They're still using those pictures, just reusing them. Bless you.
And yeah, so now his LinkedIn updated and somebody was paying attention and noted that he's working with Chaos Audio, which is based
Yeah.
out of Panama Beach in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's where Gear Supply started. And
Yep.
how did they launch their product? A Kickstarter. There's probably one other person in the gear community less qualified than Joshua Katurba to bring your Kickstarter product to market, and it's the Devi
Well,
Ever console. Sorry,
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
I'm
There's
not
no
wrong.
getting around that.
There's no getting around it. Like you've been
But
bested by exactly one human being. Like, congratulations. The bar is in hell.
yeah, um,
But
I mean,
they're
we'll
always
see.
they're always young companies because CNC Audio was a high school project,
Yep.
essentially, like a homeschooled high school project.
Yep.
And Chaos Audio, the kid Landon started the idea when he was 19 or something, so like a college project. So
Sure.
these are kids who are too young to kind of remember this is because this wasn't too long ago. It was like what, 2016, 2017?
2017, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So like
I mean, that's 5 years.
5 years, yeah, 5 years is like why would they have known all this stuff happening? So I was wondering, like, why didn't they just Google him? So I Googled him, and I don't know if do you know what negative SEO is?
I sort of do, yeah.
Yeah, so negative SEO is the idea of you can pay somebody to basically bury bad news stories about you and boost positive ones. There are not a lot of negative. If you Google Joshua Katurba or Josh Katurba, the person who owns Gear Supply Company, and that's not private information. It's not private that he's working with Chaos Audio. It's on his personal LinkedIn page. Like, it's been confirmed by Chaos Audio, so we're not like this guy
Yep.
made Josh made himself the face of his own brand, so I feel pretty comfortable naming him. He like nothing bad comes up really. There's a BBB page, but since Gear Supply Company was so long ago and their BBB doesn't really keep complaints past 12 months, there's really nothing there. There are a couple Reddit threads if you look up Gear Supply Company, but right now there's a different company called Gear Supply Company that sells like tactical gear or something, and it's a completely different company, has nothing to do with
Sure.
Josh. So it's hard to Google it.
Yeah,
And
one of his top results on the if just searching his name is like a interview he did with Arizona Green Tea in 2012.
how?
And
How is that possible other than like how is that possible that that is what comes up over negative stories about him in Gear Supply Company? Did nobody cover I did publications I don't think that there are like exposés that are written in the gear community when maybe there should be. Like there are other communities. I don't think that we do a great job in the gear community having actual publications write about people who rip people off or who don't uphold their end of the bargain, because I think we do want to extend, for lack of a better word, grace to these people for some reason. And there are a lot of potential legal ramifications of uh, allegations against people. You know, the
right?
fact of the matter is, Josh ran a failed Kickstarter. He ran a failed
Yes.
Kickstarter. He ran a failed business. He ran a business that continued to accept orders, that had a web store up where you could still put in your credit card information and order straps, strings, cables that were never going to ship. And we also know that he told people that he wanted to make it right privately,
And
but
never
that
did.
and never did. And he also never reached out to people to whom he owed money and products in any capacity in an attempt to make it right. You can
Sure.
also look up and see how much money he got in PPP loans. Yeah. Yeah. You can look up how much money he got in PPP loans for his studio photography businesses. Someone else said
So
that, I didn't, so I'm not going to say the number, but it is more than I got when I needed it.
sure.
So
So I mean, I think the takeaway there is it's one of those like fool me once, like shame on you kind of a thing. But fool me twice, like that should be shame on everybody else for allowing that to fly.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a bunch of people tried to reach out to CNZ and like, hey guys, like, are you guys okay? Like, do you
Yeah.
know what you're getting into? I think there were some emails being sent out to like some people who had met the owner of Chaos Audio, sending out like a cautionary, like, hey, do you know who you're working with?
Well, I had a little back and forth with him in the 60 Cycle Hum group, and it was really defensive. It felt really defensive, and like a lot of sales speak on his part. He said, the owner Landon said something along the lines of, my only concern is having a successful product launch. And I responded, that really shouldn't be your only concern. This is for better or worse. This is a very relationship driven industry where you are
It
judged
is.
by the company you keep. He responded, I feel like the quality of my products should be how I'm judged. And I
Nope.
responded, that's all well and good, but it's alarming that you
You
can't
can't
see why people
dictate
would
that to your
be.
customer base.
Yeah, you can't tell people, you can't. And this is something that, like, I don't want to get into like a gender spiel, but women get that you cannot you can't tell people how to judge you. I know that I cannot, like, tell people how to judge me. And because you're told that at a very young age, like, you can dress whatever way you want, and if that's a certain way, slut or not, people are going to call you a slut.
Sure.
And you don't have a lot of control over that. And it's kind of the same thing here. So I should probably just pull it up verbatim so I'm not putting words in his mouth. But the gist of it was, so he said, our only concern is making sure Stratus, their product, is top tier when it's delivered in July.
Then hire an engineer.
We're getting our next 25 unit sample batch in a month for final testing, which is odd because in another video on their own page on YouTube, they said that all they want is to have a minimum viable product, not top tier product. So, okay, fine. So I responded, that shouldn't be your only concern. Honestly, I won't speak for the person who brought this up to everybody, but it's a small relationship driven industry where people definitely judge you for the company you keep. And he responded, hey, I believe we should be judged by the quality of our products and care for our community. I know we will demonstrate this quality and care as the next few months progress. Feel free to hit me with any questions. I responded, that's well and good, but it's a pretty big red flag to bring in a guy who ran a company that just kept taking people's money without shipping products, especially when a big part of that involved a Kickstarter. It's alarming that you can't see that.
Right. That tells me, one, I'm not personally, my choice will not be purchasing or trying out any of that equipment. I'm just 10-foot pole, staying away.
No, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. I'm not taking their money. I'm not taking their product. I'm not interested in it. I know that Andy from the Guitar Geek looked at it, and he found problems with it. Yeah.
Unrelated.
Go ahead.
So obviously, it's not like that's Josh's fault, but I mean, that ensures a lot of people that you would want to be in a relationship-driven industry are not going to want to play ball. Whether that be demo artists, whether that be some of your because if you're going to bring that to market as a Kickstarter, you need some guerrilla marketing going, and if there's enough people that put two and two together and who are active in the guitar forums, the kind of folks that you want to here's a free pedal and just comment and tell all your friends about it, kind of thing, kind of like artist relations, but at a more crowdsourced level. I mean, that's going to be a lot harder to pull off. I don't think they're going to have to worry about vendors because it sounds like it's the sort of thing they're going direct to consumer. But if there's if there's ever a desire to move to a working with vendors on distribution, that's going to be a really hard sell because vendors are the people that will remember this stuff for sure. You might be able to pull it off with a handful of direct to consumer fresh faces in the crowd, because it's a ever evolving industry, and the number of people who have joined the gear industry as a consumer has grown quite a bit with the pandemic. So sure, you've got some fresh faces out there. Congratulations. Don't let them down. I really I genuinely hope that this doesn't turn into another round, because I don't wish that on anybody. But
no, I mean, I get concerned so they went way over their goal, which is concerning on a Kickstarter. Kickstarters that go so far over their goal are more likely to fail than ones that just kind of meet or exceed their goal, because it's so much harder to scale up.
Sure.
I don't think that people typically realize that when a Kickstarter just really just blows past its goal like that. It's not necessarily a good thing. Mo money, mo problems. Exactly. You get it.
Right, because you've got staffing and a supply chain that's built out, or at least you've ideated what that's going to look like in advance of the Kickstarter for that target amount. Once you blow past that, now it's questions of, do we need to outsource some of this? Do we need to hire new staff? Can we afford to up front to make that happen? And is this and are we going to have to lay them off after the fact? So therefore because you get that big wave first, and then where are you going to actually land for long-term sales?
Mm-hmm.
That's trying to balance a business like that, rather than this is what we know we can hold and sustain, much, much more doable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
outsourcing is typically more expensive, but it is more scalable, but then you lose more of your profit margin, and then does it become worth it? These are the sorts of questions that you've got to be able to ask.
Yeah.
Um,
And this is one of those pedals that like Emily Hopkins just demoed that it's one of those pedals that it's software. You hook it up to your phone and you kind of route other effects into it. I think it can like do up to 5 effects, and you put it on your board and you turn it on and it's those effects.
so it's like an HX Dot Mini.
Kind of, yeah. But what happens if, heaven forbid, the company goes under? Then you have a $200 to $300 paperweight.
I mean, yeah, that could be said for a lot of digital things.
That could be said for a lot of digital things, but that literally just happened for the pedal that Emily Hopkins demoed. Like, because she left a bad demo and the guy nuked the whole company. Like,
Oh
what do you
yeah,
do? What do you do?
I
Like,
mean,
I'm
you
not saying it's
just
going to happen
don't
here, but it's
update the
just,
firmware
yeah,
and
it's,
play it until it dies.
yeah.
Maybe don't rely on it for a tour if it can't be replaced.
It's an interesting idea, but
Sure.
I also liked looking at their Kickstarter, and they had like some similar products, and all of their, like, it was like the check XXX. But if the other product had also a check mark, unlike theirs, which their check mark was like blue and purple or whatever their colors are,
Oh yeah, I did see that.
the other check mark would just be gray. So it wouldn't stand out. It would still look like an X to like a visual on a visual like scan. Like, oh, they must not have that. Well, actually, that's a check mark, not an X.
Yep.
It's like,
No,
guys,
yeah, I just pulled up that chart right now, and this feels misleading to an exceeding degree. So it's like intuitive UI is one of the things that they're looking for. Like, define intuitive.
yeah,
That's
no.
so subjective. Expanding effects platform.
They're saying Zoom doesn't have an expanding FX platform.
The multi-stomp can be reprogrammed. People have played. I mean, granted, that's like voiding all warranty, but there's also different. There's enough in there where you don't really need to expand on it. So like that implies that
Oh,
the ability to expand on it, that just tells me that they're working in progress and building out more effects, whereas the other two companies have already built in everything that they want.
yeah. Which you have to do because you're a new company, and Zoom has been around for decades.
Yep. Next one, fully customizable. What metric? How do you define that metric?
How do you define the
That
fully
is,
part of that?
yeah, that's super vague.
Yeah.
5 minute looper.
Oh,
Congratulations.
that's a very long looper.
That is a very long looper.
That's cool.
There you go.
Nice.
We have a metric that is
That's a good metric.
measurable,
Yeah. A
but
plus.
it doesn't tell us what the other ones are, because if one of the other ones has 4 minute and 30 seconds, like that, functionally that's close enough.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what
I'd
the
have
other
some
loopers
follow up
are.
questions, but sure, like that feels less misleading as a metric. And then the last one is full effects chain.
Oh, sure.
Give
Okay.
that, what define full again, like, is full effects chain meaning like this is your one device that you can run an entire gig on?
Yeah, that's what
Uh,
I'm saying, because you can do like 5 effects that you can reprogram and move around and stuff. It is like it's like an HX Stomp Mini.
and then it gives us the check mark for the Zoom multi stomp on that. And so I would just be curious what
But
their.
it's not a color. It's still grayed out.
Oh sure, I mean this
Which
is
just made me
that's
laugh.
the sort of, like kind of that awkwardly like growth hacky mindset of we're gonna just like talk right past the point and hope people
Mhm.
don't notice. And like that might work for some people. For other people in an industry that's founded on a lot of trust, that's not going to fly.
Yeah.
So I mean, best of luck to them. I also think it's funny that their logo looks kind of like the new Meta logo, just more
Oh,
angular.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really heard of them before all this, so
I
I
think
mean,
there's potential here, but
sure.
so like if I were to give some advice to the owner of the company, it looks like they've got a decent product. It looks like they've got potential, and the part that they're going to really run into is any of the engineering stuff. So hire an engineer. Don't hire someone for marketing for a product that might need a little bit more help. Hire an engineer and hire a business partner that can help you scale up.
I wonder which Kickstarter marketing firm they hired to help them get, $138,000 in Kickstarter money, because I have to imagine that they hired somebody
I mean, it's
for PR or something.
could be somebody for PR. It's not like I want this guy to fail. I don't really want many companies to fail.
I don't want anybody to fail. Well, some people I want to fail. I want one person associated with this to not.
I'm very concerned about that association.
Farms tenant. Oh, they're part of something called Tech Farms.
Yep, Tech Farm. Josh is on the team there. He's a marketing manager there. Yeah, I found that in his SEO. It's We Grow Tech Companies.
Yep, that explains a lot.
So there's your explanation.
Tech Farms Capital. Technita. MUL Strapping Tools Manufacturer. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So it looks like they had a first Kickstarter campaign that failed back in late 2020, regathered and relaunched. But yeah, I mean, I hope they figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Kickstarter has potential. I just don't see it working out too often. It fails more often than it does, because it's like a miniature. Wow, I just went to go get water for my voice, and it's already back.
Frog in his throat. It's allergy season in Seattle already. The trees are blooming, and yikes.
They're starting to, yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, I just think that you need to understand that it's a lot about the company you keep sometimes, and sometimes there are people in different industries that bring up really bad feelings with a lot of consumers and people in that community, and you're not caring for that community if you bring those people into your business.
Right. It'd be like, bringing back Louis C.K. to a set. I mean, it's like, sure, like, he can be funny, he's good at his job, but do you really want to do that to everybody that's going to be involved?
When there are other options, like, you don't, that's not like, if that's not your only option, is the thing. So,
right.
But they probably, they're young, they didn't know.
And they're trying to backpedal because they're already in. They probably have a contract signed, something like that.
Yeah. So they're
money
young.
Spent.
Yeah. Cool.
Do your research, folks.
Ask around. Ask around a little bit more.
Have mentors that you trust that have been doing what you want to do for longer than you have.
Yeah. Ask around. Check references, not their references, other references. Reference
it's
check.
It's so much. Yeah, it's so much better to ask around and find out, and usually not as great to fuck around and find out.
No. So. No. Oh my God. Oh man. Cool. So
that's my pithy quote for the week.
Pithy quotes. So to talk about something completely different that everyone's going to care about.
Hard pivot. Pivot.
There's a conspiracy theory in music that's happening that is really interesting to me. I love a good musical conspiracy theory.
Okay.
And this one involves, hear me out, Dua Lipa.
She's in the song British? Levitating.
She is British, and Dua Lipa is actually her real name. Kind of blows my mind. But she has that song Levitating,
mm-hmm.
and the hook is, something like da 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 da. So the hook is a dotted eighth note followed by a 16th note, da 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 da, over like a Charleston rhythm, right?
Yeah.
Well, she got sued by a Florida ska band or a reggae band, a Florida reggae band called Article Sound System, saying that they ripped off she ripped off one of their songs. And on the head, you're like, where the shit is Dua Lipa gonna hear a Florida reggae band?
Sure.
And you're like, okay, this is gonna be thrown out because you have to have one of the things to win a plagiarism case is you have to have access. So
Right.
is there any chance that Dua Lipa could have heard the song? So like if Tom Petty's estate is suing like Ed Sheeran for a copyright violation,
That makes sense.
Ed Sheeran's heard Tom Petty. There's access. Uh, if I'm suing Ed Sheeran for copyright violation, there's no access. Like Ed Sheeran has
I don't
never
know.
heard my music.
He did film a music video in Georgetown on Airport Strip,
Where I never
Airport
am.
Way.
Where
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never am.
It's
So
actually kind of a fun place to go drinking, but
yeah. And that's a fun fact. That's why a lot of record companies don't take unsolicited demos and they have a policy of just destroying them because that eliminates access just in case. Um, because then you can't say, oh, this other artist on this label did have access because I sent their label a demo of that song 5 years ago.
Yep.
And it's like similar, then the label can say, actually, we have a policy of just destroying unsolicited demos, and that was an unsolicited demo. It was destroyed per our policy.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Safest thing to do. It got more interesting when Article Sound System says, but our album was number 2 on the Billboard reggae charts in 2017, and her song was written in 2018.
Oh.
Oh shit, that makes access a little bit murkier.
It does. Is she into reggae?
Maybe herself or one of the writers was into reggae. It's
Shaman.
likely that they were. So that
I want to hear the song that was ripped off.
Allegedly ripped off. That's where it gets even more interesting.
Oh.
It's hard. It's really hard to find this song. It was actually really hard to find this song because it's been on all the streaming services since 2017. Then why can't I find them on the streaming services? The most likely thing is they most likely pulled them before they sued. But
why?
That's part of the conspiracy. But you can find it on
who is they? Like the reggae band or like Dua Lipa's people?
The band or the lawyers. But you can find it on SoundCloud with a timestamp from 4 years ago. But with SoundCloud, you can replace song files. You can't replace song files seamlessly without replacing the date and timestamp on the streaming services. You can do that with SoundCloud.
The thick plottins.
The thick plottins. The plick-thottins. And so that's interesting that you can't find a time-stamped version of this song anywhere seemingly except for SoundCloud, where you can just slip in any old MP3 or WAV file and keep your timestamp. But what's interesting is the only part that's similar to the Dua Lipa song is seconds, like I think it's 20 to 30 in this song. And then the rest of the song is just someone going like, oh yeah, for like 2 whole minutes. And I get angry about it because I'm like, if these idiots didn't know that like that was the best part of their song and then they just go, oh yeah, for like the next 2 minutes of it or whatever, I'm they kind of deserve it. They don't deserve like a cut, in my opinion. That's just me. But also, this band released an album last month. And you have to wonder, like, why? So why didn't they sue back in 2020 when Dua Lipa's song was released? Because they released an album last month, and they can sue now and get a lot of attention and maybe get some more streams and attention on their new album.
That doesn't realistically shake out like the cost benefit.
Yeah, it does. Sure, it does.
Because you got like suing someone's not cheap.
It's cheap when it's your label doing the suing. Or your publisher.
All right, so what you're insinuating allegedly is it appears
I'm not insinuating anything. I'm repeating a conspiracy theory that I heard.
So what the conspiracy theory is that they didn't actually, like, the song didn't actually have the hook in there. They've gone back, pulled it from all streaming platforms, and they have replaced a SoundCloud file that they'll probably use with that you can tamper with after the fact to try and win a court case.
Yeah.
Posthumously is not the word, but like rewriting history digitally.
What the thing is that even if they released it, even if this song was on the record, even if Dua Lipa had access and heard it, because these songs, they're in the same key. The tempo is like 3 to 4 beats per minute off of each other. Same chord, same key. You can play them over each other and it sounds the same. It is so bad. I do not think they should win because they both stole it from Rosa Parks by Outkast. It's the same. It's the fucking same.
I'm pulling this up now.
Because they both go. Because it's just. It's like. I want you. Are you listening to Rosa Parks?
All right, so I just listened through a little bit of it on the YouTubes. I kind of see where you're getting that from.
You only kind of see it? You only kind of see it?
I only kind of see it.
All right, let me pull something up. All right, let me pull it.
Oh, is that the part? The Outkast song?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's pretty. I didn't get that far into it.
No, yeah, actually, Andrew, that was all 3 songs, the same clip played back to back, then back, and then all together at once. Do you want to hear it again?
Yep. Because they follow a similar melodic arc of 5-4-4-4 in a Charleston rhythm.
Outkast. I'm going to credit it's Adam Neely on TikTok for that one.
Yep, that's it's pretty hard to deny.
So, Article Sound System should not win this court case, and Outkast will not sue. It's sort of like, so do you know who Heinlein was, the author Heinlein?
Not off the top of my head, no.
So, he invented the waterbed, but he didn't patent it because he didn't want to make waterbeds. So anybody could make a waterbed. If you invent something and you don't copyright it or trademark it, it doesn't mean someone else can come in and copyright it or trademark it necessarily. I mean, maybe they can if they're assholes.
Sure.
But if you can go back and prove actually you didn't invent that, and that's what happens sometimes in these really famous patent troll cases. Is that somebody can go back and be like, well, actually, I know you filed a patent on this, but you didn't invent this. The patent gets thrown out.
Good, as it should be.
So I would assume the same could be said for here. Well, actually, no, I didn't steal this from you. I took the inspiration. It's more of an interpolation of
a previous song.
Yep. Yeah. And also, you can't copyright a dotted eighth note followed by a 16th note over 3 chords. The ramifications of saying that's copyrightable across the music industry would be near catastrophic.
Sure.
I don't think Ed Sheeran should have given Tom Petty songwriting credit. I think that was a bad idea. I don't think the Marvin Gaye estate should have won their court case against Blurred Lines. And I don't like Robin Thicke, nor that song. You can't copyright a groove. That's just, he was right. I hate it, but he was right. Because he asked for permission to use a sample, was denied permission, so he made his own similar sounding groove, and they sued him for making something that sounded similar. That's stupid.
Right.
He made something different that sounded similar because it was an homage. It wasn't even interpolation.
Right. It's like saying, like, okay, like you made a waterbed, but I'm going to make a waterbed that's bouncy by putting spring water in it. What you going to do about it?
I mean, it's a waterbed. But that's still a waterbed. It'd be more like, okay, well, I'm going to make
water choke.
Okay. Oh, okay. It'd be more like saying I'm going to make a Jello bed with gelatin in it. Okay, that sounds different.
Yeah.
That certainly sounds different. Or an ice bed. I'm going to make a frozen water bed.
Oh, that reminds me. I was at a restaurant last night, and went to go use the restroom on the way out, and the urinal was just filled with ice, and I'm so confused.
Haven't you ever seen, what was that movie with Rob Schneider? She's the Man? No. That was with Amanda Bynes.
American Gigolo?
No, the one where he switches places with a woman's body. It's like Freaky Friday, but what? I think it must have just been on Comedy Central like all the time. What am I thinking of? Oh God. I wish I wasn't thinking of it. I don't know what purpose that would serve.
It was super strange.
But I know that's a thing. I've heard of it. Yeah, but I just, I don't know. I don't think that they should win. You can't copyright that rhythm. Because it just seems like such a basic rhythmic structure.
Oh, yeah. Basic rhythmic structure. I mean, that would be like trying to copyright 4 on the floor.
Yeah.
That's not okay. But
there have to be like basics in music that everybody can do. Otherwise, we're just robbing anybody the ability to have like creativity.
Right. I mean, it brings up the question of where do you draw the line? And I mean, that's kind of a nebulous question. I'd almost rather reframe it as looking at other industries as a cautionary tale of how the legal part of it turns into its own industry. I mean, so you look at the tech industry and the amount of patent and copyright that gets filed from any major tech company, and then they're constantly using it to go back and forth. Or looking at old patents from like 2005 for an old program and then trying to reinterpret it so they can sue for a product that was created in 2019 and try and get it shut down. It's like that constant back and forth. It's kind of like a Cold War arms race, kind of just everyone's just like building up like this level of mutually assured destruction, but it's not really mutually assured destruction. It's just if you do this, then I'm also going to do the same thing. And
it's like someone
continuing to level up and dump money into it.
Well, someone tried to make a software that created every possible melody known to man so nobody could sue anybody for melodic copyright anymore. And they put it up as fair use. I'm like, but that would never hold up in court because of access. And also that's stupid.
But noble. Stupid. But I call that noble. Maybe misguided, but there's a nobility to it.
But some people because there is still theft sometimes.
Sure.
Obviously, like George Harrison, dead ass, he stole the whole song on accident, but he did. He stole my sweet Lord. He did. He admits it. Sure. Like, it happens.
It does. It does happen, but that question of where do we draw the line, I think should be informed partially by, the concept of like if somebody owns a song, like they own a song.
Yeah.
You want to be respectful of people, but then also recognizing that if you lean too far into it, it starts to become a stick measuring contest that just never ends.
Yeah.
Starts to circle down and it doesn't work. That's going to ruin things. And maybe it's just because it's getting more publications lately, but seeing more of that starting to happen, I think is concerning because I don't want to see it turn into continue to devolve into corporate cash grab of just lawyers being lawyers back and forth with no meaningful end in sight.
Yeah.
So
sure.
That's my read.
That's a good one. It's fair. But anyway, access or not, listen to Outkast. You couldn't tell. You couldn't even tell. You couldn't even tell where one was stopping and one was starting.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, that's pretty blatant.
Yeah. Just pretty seamless. And again, in the article sound system, it's like 10 seconds of that and then 2 minutes of
Well,
they have a new album out though. They want you to know about it.
And we call that growth hacking.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about Josh. Like,
there's nothing left to say. We probably gave him too much publication as it is, even with our little, with our follower base. So I've got it on my system. I'm going to move on.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
I also won't be surprised if, we get another 9 months from now and it's like, oh, this Kickstarter fell apart. Nobody delivered and took the money and ran.
I hope that doesn't happen for everybody involved. I thought you were going to say I wouldn't be surprised if another 9 months from now there's some other young entrepreneur with an idea of some sort hires him, not knowing what he did.
Find a mentor in the industry that you want to work in who's been in it for a significant period of time. Significant is subjective, but find someone who at least knows the lay of the land and can guide you in.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be naive enough to think that you are not naive. There's no amount of business savvy that makes up for not knowing what you're getting into in terms of a new industry, connections, history.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially with an industry that's a ton of super small companies, it's impossible to keep up with the historical accuracy, even just going back a year or two
Yeah.
for who's been involved in what. So
Go read some old Reddit threads. Because Reddit threads are harder to bury than Google search results.
Yep.
It's true.
Yep. I mean, employers usually check out your social media before they hire you for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some companies go a lot deeper.
This is true.
And for a small company that can't afford to have a bad connection, it's worth the extra time, even if you're feeling the burden of we got to hire somebody quick.
Yeah.
So
hire somebody right. Like, they don't have to be perfect, but they have to be better than that. Like, it's hard. He's hurt a lot of people, is the thing.
Yes.
It's not that people are mad about their money getting stolen. There's deeper hurt there. And I just don't think that he knows. And I'm just
Hopefully
not getting...
the dynamic's different with him being an outside consultant coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess he's also now on staff, so I don't know.
He's not on staff.
Wait, that's
actually, it doesn't seem that way. That's what I've been told by someone else. So allegedly he's not on staff. I think he put it on his link. I was told by someone else who talked to him that he's not on staff, that he was a consultant, but everybody who talks to this guy, this leader, this person who runs this company, just gets a runaround. But everyone implies that Josh is just working on a visual brand and social media. So please guys, don't harass the company. I don't feel like I should have to say that, but I know in the world I do. Root for the company to do well, please. Don't root for people to fail. For the love of God, be cool. So, yeah, that's all I've got. Well, that's all I've got for this week. Please check out my demo today or Tuesday of a pedal that is dope as hell. Really fun stuff. Andrew, you got anything? Patreon
would be good.
We have Patreon, rate, review on iTunes.
Yep. We got shirts. We got hats.
Shirts and hats.
But I mean, Patreon's the big thing because, I actually want to get to know all y'all. Yeah,
because if you subscribe at the $5 level or above, you get access to our exclusive Discord server.
It's a great community.
It's a good community. Very good, best community, and it's not too overwhelming. So, well, everybody out there, thanks for watching.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for understanding. Until next time, my name is Emily.
And my name is Andrew.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Jeez.